Hello, Prealgebra. This is lesson 93. Our objective is, how do you solve equations with exponents in them? Before we get to solving those, just remember that if you took 5 and squared it, or the base of this is 5, 5 squared means 5 times 5, and 5 times 5 is 25. Likewise, if you took negative 5 and squared it, the base of this one is negative 5. That means negative 5 times negative 5. And negative times negative, remember, it comes out to be a positive, and 5 times 5 is 25, so it would be 25. So notice, these both come out to be the same thing. So if I were to ask, what number squared is 25, both 5 and negative 5 would be our answer. And we kind of have a shorthand for that. We call it like this, plus or minus 5. It's a short way to write that and that. So you can kind of just write it like that. So just remember, so 5 squared is equal to 25. So, and the square root of 25 is equal to 5. So notice if I took the square root of x squared, right? Took the square root of x squared, or the square root of x squared, meaning the square root of 5 squared, either way you'd get x. So think about the squared and the square root being enemies of each other, just like plus and minus are opposites of each other, or enemies. Multiplication and division are. Squaring something and square rooting are opposites of each other. Alright, so that being said, let's see about solving these. To solve them, the first thing you want to do is you want to isolate that x squared. So I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides. I said 7 and wrote a 5. So on the left, I'm going to have 2x squared is equal to 18. And again, I'm trying to get that x squared by itself, so I'm going to divide by 2 because those are multiplying. So I get x squared is equal to 9. Now, to solve this, I want to take the square root of the left and the square root of the right. The square root of x squared comes out to be x. And whenever you take the square root like that, you're going to want to say the plus or minus, well, the square root of 9 is 3. So it's going to have to be x is equal to plus or minus 3. This next one, example 2, it's quite similar. We're going to isolate, so we're going to divide by 2. Because those are multiplying. Opposite of multiplying is dividing. Those become 1. So end up with x squared is equal to 8. So then now we want to take the square root. And so I end up with x is equal to the plus or minus square root of 8. I'm leaving it square root of 8 because 8 is not a perfect square. However, I'm remembering that 8 is the same thing as 4 times 2. And I picked 4 times 2 because 4 is a perfect square. So I could write the square root of 8 as being the square root of 4 times 2. Or the square root of 4 times the square root of 2. And the square root of 4 comes out to just be 2, so this is 2 square roots of 2. So x is equal to the plus or minus 2 square roots of 2. Alright, example 3 says it wants us to find that length x of those boxes up there. And so the easiest way to do that, and it does tell us that they're similar. So box A is, and this is box B, so A is similar to B. So that means I can set up proportions to solve that side. So I'm going to say the width over the height, x over 9, is equal to the width over the height, 16 over x. So now I just need to solve this. I'm going to multiply x times x, which gives me x squared. Multiply 9 times 16, which gives me 144. And then I need to take the square root, which means that x is going to equal to the plus or minus square root of 144 is 12. So that means that side length is either a positive 12 centimeters or a negative 12 centimeters. But since we're talking about the length of the side of a box, we don't ever talk about a negative length. So that means the side of that box is going to be simply 12 centimeters. Alright, that's your lesson. Feel free to watch this again if you need. Your homework is on page 626. You can do all the practice set, all the 93s, and 7 more of your choice. Good luck, guys.